Good evening. Meeting of the Beverly Glen group of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Bill, and I'm an alcoholic. Would you all join me in the serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership, supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. The church doesn't allow any smoking in this room or in the hallways. They do allow smoking in the coffee room out back. Your cooperation in this matter is vital in order for us to maintain this meeting hall. And please do not throw cigarette butts outside in the children's playground area. I don't know what they do with them, but it's not a good idea. I've identified myself as an alcoholic. Would the other alcoholics present please raise their hands? Geez, we win again. In order that we may get to know you during the coffee break and after the meeting, would those of you who have less than 30 days on the program please raise your hands? Yeah, we don't do this to embarrass you, but it usually does. But would you care to identify yourself?
I'm Cindy, alcoholic.
Hi, Cindy. Hi.
My name's Michael, and I'm an addict alcoholic.
Hi, Michael. Do we have any out-of-town visitors here? Oh. Hi, Richard. Do we have any out-of-town visitors? Everybody's local. This is a two-speaker meeting, and we will have a coffee break before our second speaker. This Friday night meeting is dedicated to the fact that Alcoholics Anonymous is simply one drunk talking to another. Let's see. It is customary in Southern California to have a portion of the Chapter 5 from the Big Book read, and I've conned Manny into coming up and doing that.
My name's Manny. I'm an alcoholic. How it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to the simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any lengths to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7. Humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. In all our affairs, yeah. Many of us exclaimed, what? Yeah. Many of us exclaimed, what, in order? I can't go through with it. Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear three pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. C, that God could and would if He were sought.
It is customary, another thing we do here is give out chips. We have chips for 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months, and 9 months. Is there anybody here who'd like to take a chip for their first 30 days? For their first 60 days? 90 days? Hey, great. There you go.
Thank you. Hey. Hi, I'm Dennis. I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic. This is a miracle, you know. Yeah, it says I did it a day at a time. Thanks.
Anybody else for 90 days? 6 months? 9 months?
Hi, I'm Bonnie. I'm an alcoholic. Bonnie. Gee, I wrote down what I was going to say, and now I don't really care. It's so wonderful. I want to thank particularly my sponsor, my family, who I just couldn't do it without, and all of you. I'm just so grateful and happy to be here, and I'll be here for my year cake.
Anybody else for 9 months? No. Let's see. We also give a cake with a candle on it for each 365 days of sobriety. Tonight we have several cakes. Is Naomi here? No. Okay, then our first cake is for Paul for 4 years, and Paula will give the cake. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Paul. Happy birthday to you. Keep coming back.
My name's Paul. I'm an alcoholic. Hi, and thank you, Paula, for the cake. And I don't have... I just remember when I came into the program, and I'd come in and out for 8 years, that when I came in and I was really serious, I just thought if I can stay sober 3 months, you'll know how serious I am about this. And that was a big deal. You know, that 90 days for me, that was, God, that was just incredible. I don't know, it's gotten a lot better, of course. The only thing I really wanted to say was I just wanted to say to Ray and Laurie that I love them, and that it's been wonderful to be part of this meeting. Thank you.
We have a new addition here. A cake for Colleen for 2 years, and Ray will give her the cake. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. dear Colleen. Happy birthday to you. Keep coming back.
Hi, my name's Colleen, and I'm an alcoholic. And it's real nice to take my cake tonight. Thank you, Ray. This man 12-stepped me for 5 years. Hung in there. Brought me to my very first meeting. He's very special in my life. Real glad to be in a meeting with him tonight. Real glad to be sober. Thanks.
We got a cake for 5 years for Fred, and Ray's going to give him the cake. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Fred. Happy birthday to you. Keep coming back.
I'm Fred. I'm an alcoholic. I want to thank Ray for giving me the cake. He's a very dear friend of mine. The man here is sitting in the back of the room tonight, Bill C., who did my fifth step with me, and I appreciate it. I love you, Bill. 5 years, the only reason 5 years has been rough for me, I think, is because I hit 40 in 5 years of sobriety in the same 2-week period. And so I'm over the hill. Anyway, I think the program starts now for me. I mean, it's serious shit now, and not that it wasn't before, but now the waiting for 5 was a big deal for me, a real big deal, because doesn't matter why. Because anyway, I'm sober. I'm here tonight, and I hope I'm back tomorrow. That's all I can say. Thank you.
We have another birthday from Marcia May for 17 years, and Ray will give the cake. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marcia May. Happy birthday to you. Keep coming back.
Hi, I'm Marcia May, and I'm a very grateful alcoholic. You'll be happy to know I'm losing my voice. I want to thank Ray very much for giving me my cake. I do remember my birthday really is Halloween. On October 31st of 1969, I came to, I guess it was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I fell on the floor, and the fifth of scotch was there, and I crawled to the telephone, and I begged for help, because I'm known as a slipper, it was periodic, who became daily, and I used to hate Alcoholics Anonymous and everyone in it. Can you believe such a thing? And today, I love everybody at Alcoholics Anonymous. I want to thank Buddy and Frank for coming with me tonight. He and I grew up together, and he's on the program now. This is just a fantastic life. You meet everyone you used to know on this program. I just love it. Thank you.
Tonight, our first speaker is Michael R.
Hi there. Michael. I'm an alcoholic. Every time I say that, little voice says, who's he talking about? Me. We have time, probably too much, but anyway, just basically me and Alcoholics Anonymous. This is a very special meeting for me, and particularly tonight, Ray and Lori and Pat, their term as commitment is over. This one saved my life. I came here 9 months ago after telling myself that I didn't need meetings. I certainly didn't need a sponsor or a friend. Home groups were absurd. Anyway, this one became my home group, and Ray definitely is my friend and sponsor. I just hung on to him for the last 9 months, and he doesn't know anything except program. I tried to tell him, what else was going on, but one night we were sitting in a parking lot, and he said, "Well, that building looks tall enough, Michael." Anyway, it saved my life. I came here and I started moving chairs, and I got to walk and talk and smile and meet people. I met Lori. The second meeting I came here, she put out her hand and big smile. "Hi, Michael." And I thought, oh shit, Ray told her I was afraid of women. And I met Joseph. "So, Michael, you big-time drug dealer?" "Uh-huh. Got anything to show for it?" "No." "You clean and sober?" "Yeah, so get a job." That's Alcoholics Anonymous. There are people here. They're friends. It's got as much as I didn't want it. I love it. Pat, I used to go to a Ray's shop, and we'd sit out in the back there and listen to Norman Alpe tapes and cry. Sometimes John Eller could be there, or Barry, and Pat would come home from work. That's when she worked. And she'd just sort of pull up a chair and hand her the tissues, and she'd cry with us. And it's great. It really is great. I'm just beginning in the last couple of weeks to really feel this, and it's kind of ironic. It's Monday. I'm moving out of California to Florida, and my parents are there, and my brothers, people I haven't seen or talked to in years. And I'm looking forward to that. I was there for 3 weeks, and I didn't go to a meeting. I don't go to a meeting. But now I'm looking forward to going. I want to do it. I like it. I like it a lot. I was just talking to someone out in the courtyard. You should have heard me. My pitch was wonderful. I'm your basic drug shooter. That's what I did. That's what I for many, many years. And if you want to shoot drugs, you got to live in Bangkok, or be a millionaire, or you got to sell drugs. And I decided to sell them and thought maybe I could become a millionaire. Towards the end, I was willing to move to Bangkok. It was really, I just done myself in. I'd done it in. And I was trying for those first 2 months. I hung with the old people, I ran with them, I did the whole thing. I just didn't drink and I didn't use. I don't know why. And then I got involved in this quick money-making deal, and that didn't work. Then I called Ray. And if you're new and you haven't met Ray, you will. But boy, I'd had it. I'd really had it. And he hello, Ray. And he just said, "Michael, are you clean and sober?" And I said, "Of course, but it's this other shit that's killing me." And he said, "I've got the answer. I know what it is. Say a prayer to God as you understand Him. That's it. And I'll tell you the prayer. Thy will be done. Not Michael Rose's will, not Ray Castellani's will. Thy will be done." That's it. That's Alcoholics Anonymous. It's people. It's a fellowship. It's accepting the fact that there is a God. It's surrendering. All these cliched words. But again, just in the last couple of weeks, we used to listen to this Norman Alpe tape, and he talks about rationalize, justify, and compromise. And I got to hear Ray fling those words at me a couple weeks ago. I also got to hear the other 3 people that I mentioned before all come to me and say, "Michael, what's happening? You're going to drink." Lori didn't even want to talk to me. Joseph said Pat wanted the old Michael back. And I was saying, what am I doing? What's happening? And I was talking to Ray one day, and he said, "Michael, you're going to drink." And I'm still thinking, what's he talking about? Anyway, the wheels were turning. Ray was thinking, Michael's special. Let's give him a special line. Michael, if you're any kind of drug addict at all, you're going to shoot dope. It's like the knife was twisted, you know. I think, oh, Ray, why are you saying these things? They're saying those things because they love me. They're saying those things because they care. They're saying those things because, okay, Michael, you got it. Do something with it. Give it away. You can't just say, I got it and it's mine, and that's it. You can't have it. Because that's Alcoholics Anonymous. You got it, give it away. I think it was Al Marine. He said it in 11 words. You know, I give it to you, you give it to me, we give it away. That's it. That's it. If you got problems, you know, when I came here, I thought, well, all right, I'll move some chairs and it'll help me out and all that. It didn't do a hell of a lot for my living conditions. Didn't do anything for my marriage. But I'm clean and I'm sober. And I really like it. So if you're new and you're wondering what you're doing here, you got a problem with alcohol and drugs and your life's a mess. That's what you're doing here. The rest of it will come. When Ray said, you know, if you're any kind of drug addict, Michael, you'll shoot dope, I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I realized what kind of drug addict I am. I'm the kind with Alcoholics Anonymous in his heart and his soul, finally. And I want you to have it, and I want it, and thank you.
Thank you, Michael. It's time for the seventh tradition. Would you people please remain seated while the baskets come around, and then we'll have about a 10 minutes coffee break. Tonight I've asked David to read the 12 traditions for us.
Good evening, my name is David and I'm an alcoholic. The 12 traditions. 1. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on AA unity. 2. For our group purpose there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself on our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4. Each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5. Each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6. An AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9. AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10. Alcoholics Anonymous has no outside opinion, no opinion on outside issues. Hence, the AA name never ought to be drawn into public controversy. 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and film and television. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. Thank you.
Our second speaker tonight is Joe.
Where is he? Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm an alcoholic. Michael Stoll started. Where's Ray? Oh, he's sitting down. Shit, I really rate. I like that. It is kind of nice that Michael was the first speaker and he stole some of my action. I'm really honored to be asked to speak here tonight again, with Ray asking me and Laurie to come back. It is a night watching them leave, and Tanya and Fred are going to have one hell of a job filling their shoes. But, you know, knowing Ray, you see, for the people who've been involved in this meeting, when we had it in the little room, there was a gleam in Ray's eye to move the meeting. So we got here, you know. And then poor Laurie was going a little bit crazy because it was a larger room and some more stuff to do. And the gleam started getting bigger in Ray's eyes. And us who were involved in the breaking up and sitting down and see this, we knew what was on his mind. The Hollywood Palladium. You know, and Laurie was, you know, in her mind was saying, oh shit, how do we lock that place up? And, you know, he's a beautiful man. I love it. You know, then he could really stand in the middle aisle and say, start at 8:30. He even, in honor of him, he wanted me to dress up tonight. But I wear a suit and tie all day long, so I don't give a shit. So for Ray, I don't know if Clancy would like it, but I think it looks good. You don't think so? Okay. Fucking up your meeting? That's my hat. Anyway, I'm showing I'm an alcoholic. It's you know, I've been coming around a long time, from when I first started coming into Alcoholics Anonymous. And, you know, I've watched the program change. Not the program, but the workings of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it's frightening. Some of it from the old times. When I say old, I started coming to Alcoholics Anonymous in 1965. I didn't stay sober. I said I started coming. Staying sober was another thing. That wasn't a real plan. It took me a while to get sober. But Alcoholics Anonymous is 51 years old now. And, you know, we're pretty sneaky and pretty sharp people at times. You know, I'm also now I have a cold, so I've become a cough drop holic. This is my 5th box of cough drops today. You want cough drops? My boy Bill, I buy cough drops and he eats them. And anyway, what I see is happening, and it's kind of interesting, is that for, I would say, a good 45 years, maybe 44, 43 years, it took us to get smart, you know. We figured out we've been giving this away all these years. You know, I'd come into a meeting and stand up here and share, and into a discussion meeting and share about our experience, strength, and hope. And then we decided that we could make some money with it. So now, if you take account, half the people are techs, counselors. And it's kind of frightening because they're getting drunk. You know, for the people who want to do it for a living, I think it's fantastic. Any way we can get the message across. I took a 2-week cure. I'm here, you know, a couple times back, and I'm okay. I don't have to come and do this shit. But they're getting drunk, and now all of a sudden it's no big deal. And you know, and it's really sharp. You know, if you think about it, Ray and I came up with an idea, and I'm using Ray. I'm giving him a lot of billing tonight. Just last night, he isn't going to get it too much from the podium anymore. We came up with a great idea one night. Think about it. These people are paying thousands of dollars to go to hospitals. We wanted to run an ad in the personal columns. Guaranteed to quit drinking and cure your drinking problems. Send $2, then we'll send you the answer. We got a Jewish guy involved. He wanted $5. We said, look, he said marketing technique, nobody will pay the $2, so we figured, okay, fine. I was serious. Ray looked at me like I was nuts. And the answer would have been, you just don't drink and say a little prayer. And think of all the thousands of dollars we would have saved. When I first went to a rehab hospital, it wasn't a hospital, it was a house that was owned by an alcoholic in the spring of '65 in upstate New York. It was $80 for the week. All the food you wanted, all the coffee. They weren't counselors. They were all drunks. You know, the guy who took care of me, I'll never forget it. I got there and he nursed me. They kept giving me eggnog and some type of pills because I was on about a 2-month drunk. And that was how they got me sober. And that was my introduction to Alcoholics Anonymous, was in the spring of 1965. And from there it went. You know, like I said, I say I'm an alcoholic, and I am an alcoholic. I'm not an alcohol. Well, I'm just an alcoholic. I'm not an addict. Alcohol was my drug of choice. I love the taste of alcohol. I mean, you name it, I drank it. You know, and I used to think that I was a cool drinker, and that lasted for a little while. My first time, my encounter with alcohol, I was maybe 8, 9, 10 years old, and I went to a relative's wedding, got drunk. I'm running around grabbing everybody's glass of beer. I don't even know if I got drunk, but I got sick. And I threw up all over an established Italian figurehead in the family on the way home. And you don't do things like that, you know. They kind of frown upon you and they look. And my parents, neither one of them drank. I mean, my father was a disgusting drinker, and he'd walk into someplace and have a rye and ginger, you know, and sit there and suck on that thing all night long, and I used to look at him, you know. But my mother's side of the family, they're all sober now, but they all were practicing. And none of them have come to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I have an uncle who lost 2 feet due to alcohol. Got drunk in the cold one night and walked through the snow and crawled into his little house in Connecticut and forgot to turn on the heat and got frostbite. And, you know, you drink and you look at your feet turning black. I guess you just think it's a natural thing to do. And they took both of his feet, and I went back to see him. I guess I was sober about 3 or 4 years, and he was in a VA hospital, and I walked through and I see a room that says Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. And I walk into where my uncle is, and I'm talking to him, and I said, how you doing, Tony? And he says, oh, pretty good. And I said, you got anything on your hip? And he says, no, I don't drink. That's what he used to say, you have anything on your hip. And I said, well, he said, well, I got to get out of this where I'm at. And I said, why? He says, because I'm here with these people. I said, what people? He said, they're in that program. I said, you mean Alcoholics Anonymous? He says, yeah. He said, I don't have a problem with alcohol. And I said, no, you just lost your feet. He said, well, that had nothing to do with it. He's sober. The last I heard, he's back in the VA hospital. He's got 2 funny feet that he runs around with. And I haven't seen him, you know. But he was great. You see, I had the fun with him, because he was like the father I never had. He drank. He used to take me hunting and fishing, showed me all about guns. I'm a fanatic for guns. I like to shoot them. I don't know nothing about them. I think they're fun. You take them out, and you go shoot tin cans, bottles, and stuff. You know, people start talking, oh, you know about the M916 that they just, I don't know about that shit. Shoot them. And his brothers, all of my mother's brothers, were practicing. One of them lost a leg. They started out at the ankle, worked their way up. He just died not too long ago, and it's all alcohol related. Had out of the 3 sisters in the family, one of them wasn't practicing alcohol. She was great, my Aunt Vera. When my father passed away, she came walking into our house, and I looked at my mother and said, holy Christ, we better trade places with Daddy. She looked bad, you know. And I got her drunk, and everybody got mad at me, you know. Drink. At the funeral, I kept going back into the back office, pouring her scotch, and she got all upset. But my time with the drinking, after my little bout, which I just remember throwing up on my father's 1947 Chevy, they kind of like said, let's watch Joey at weddings, because I was 11 on my father's side and 11 on my mother's side, so I have 22 aunts and uncles. I don't know, all of them on my father's side are dead. They all died. I'm living on borrowed time. They started dying at 39 to 45. Being one after another, heart attacks and stuff. So I did the right thing. I quit smoking, quit drinking, and watched my diet. My luck, I'll live. See, Laurie keeps me filled up with coffee. Through my adolescence, I can't say I came from a bad home. My mother and father didn't talk half the time, so I didn't get any love, you know. But that was, I mean, to this day, it's really great. I call up my mother. If I say I love you, I get dead silence on the phone. You know, and I go to leave. I go back and forth quite a bit. When I'm back there, and I'll see my mother. Bye, Ma. Yeah. That's the hug, you know. God forbid you may. Flowers. I didn't know you gave the speakers flowers. They're for me? That shit. That's because I'm sick. And from that point on, without having love and affection, I went to school with the Penguins, hated them. I mean, I feel sorry for anybody I talk to, and they say, well, I'm going to put my kid in parochial school. Oh, them people were miserable, you know. I remember Sister Marie Patrice. She was the most rotten bitch that I ever met in my life. They used to grab you by your sideburn, you know. Her and I, we never got along. This was my 8th grade teacher. I got out of school. I had fun, though. Not drinking, but as a kid, I did have a little bit of fun. Got into junior high school, now I went to public school where you started changing classes in all your schools, and that was fun. I never did that because in parochial school where I went, you stayed in a classroom, and they taught you everything there. First one was catechism. You had to know the Catholic religion. That was great, you know. And when I reached high school, my drinking, I don't call it my alcoholism yet, but my drinking, as I look back at it now, progressed. I associated with people always who were older than I was. So it was easy. You know, in New York, I went up until last year, you could buy alcohol at the age of 18. So it was easy to find somebody who looked like 18 or was 18 and always get something to drink, and you could run around and play. Well, I went to high school. I was thrown out a number of times and finally asked to leave and not to come back. We attempted to hang one of the students, and the teacher came in, and he was just turning blue. And they decided that they didn't want us back in New Rochelle High School. So I thought that this was, you know, I didn't need an education because the town that I came from are all blue-collar workers. My whole family's blue-collar worker. I'm the only one who climbed to what I've managed to get today, and that's only through this program. And I said, I don't need your school. First of all, I couldn't understand, why do you need English when you're going to be a truck driver? Why do you need history? You know, these things at that time in my life. And I liked to drink, so we would drink and party. And if you came from blue-collar workers, you drank, partied, and fought. I had a job working in a gas station, and I was introduced to a man who, you know, at this time you're starting to get hip, slick, and cool because I'm just turning 18. And now I really got my shit together with the world. I got my black 55 Chevy. I am cool. I am drinking on the weekends, and I'm working in this gas station. And I have a little bit of a reputation of being a little bit sick. You know, you don't really fool with him because he's liable to do something dangerous. At that time, this man pulled in. He owned a tree business. And he offered me a job to climb trees. Now, if you are alcoholic or potential alcoholic and you have to be slip, hick, and cool, the best thing to do is to be a tree climber. Because people know anybody who gets up in a goddamn tree to make a living, there's got to be something wrong with them, and you don't dare fool with them. You know, you just don't. The tree men are bad. And the man who hired me, his name was Bill McLeod. And my second week on the job, Bill shows up on the job, and he's got 6-pack of Schaefer beer and some Pepsi-Cola, and I automatically get a resentment because I think he bought the Pepsi-Cola for me. He figures I can't drink, I'm new. And the beer was for me and the Pepsi-Cola was for him. And I looked at him and he said, well, I don't drink. I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I have been for the last 16 years. He said, and I'm a circuit speaker. And he was, and so was his wife. A few weeks after that, Bill McLeod showed back up on the job again. This time with 2 6-packs of Schaefer beer and no Pepsi-Cola and drunk. And I looked at him and I said to him, I said, Jesus, I thought you were a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. He said, yeah, I was. And it's none of your business. Now, I'm going to tell you, the greatest person to work for is a practicing alcoholic when he's practicing and you're practicing and he's the boss. And you have to climb trees. You get a little bit, I mean, you know, I learned the early morning drink. That was from my uncle. I used to go down and watch him in the morning, and I used to look at him and say, how can you do that? And he would have a shot of Fleischmann's whiskey, a can of beer, and a cup of coffee. And that was how he started his Monday mornings. He was a weekend periodic for years. When I used to go up to get Bill McLeod, we would drive immediately to the bar. That was the first stop. We eliminated coffee and everything else, and we got a few beers in us to go out now and work. God love him, that never made it back. He never made it back. Bill must have been 56, 57 years old. He took me, as I worked with him, I left, I got married. You know, I had the thing for getting married. I was 19, and everybody I knew was married, so I got married. Now, at age 19, he told me, he said, "You gotta be crazy to get married." I said, "No, don't worry about it." I didn't have a job, because when you do tree work back east, you don't work, you know, October, November, December, January, February. There's no work for you. So I'm going to jump a little bit of how I left Bill and how Bill got me. I got married in July of 1964. I was in Psycho December of 1964 for attempted suicide. And I wound up meeting Alcoholics Anonymous in June of 1965 and becoming a father. Through that period of time, with my marriage, we got married, Gail got pregnant, we split up. I was heartbroken, and I was on the telephone, and I slashed my wrists. And I passed out, and the police kicked in the door. They came and got me, and they brought me back to the hospital. When I was at the hospital, the obsession to drink was so great. I mean, I had to have another drink, and I am bleeding. I took off out of the hospital, and I ran about a half a mile to an all-black bar. Now, the brothers in the bar, see, they knew me, that I was crazy to start out with, and a lot of them were my age I went to school with, and I walked into the bar with my hand in my pocket, and when I went to take the money out, the blood was just pouring out, my whole hand was full of blood. The black bartender looked at the friends, and he says, "You better get him the hell out of here, because this white boy's going to die, and we're all going to jail for murder, because they'll never believe it." And I said, "No, just one drink." I had to have the one drink. They took me to a white bar where it was a bucket of blood, and Jack looked at me. I remember the bartender, and he said, "Jesus, Joe," he says, "you better get to the hospital, you're dying." I said, yeah, and I had 2 drinks, and they talked me to go back into the hospital, and police pulled up at that time and got me. And they brought me back to the hospital. And then I decided I didn't need stitches, and they decided I did, so I kicked the nurse and the intern and started wrecking the room, and they put me in a straitjacket and took me to Psycho. And I wasn't too bad, except that they gave me a little Paraldehyde to drink, and it put me to sleep. And I don't know how many people have been in Psycho, but, you know, I remembered as time went on going. I remember the ambulance ride. I remember them feeding me this shit. But the one frightening thing of all is I remember waking up in the morning in the padded cell without my clothes, without anything, you know, and opening the door and, you know, these people are really crazy. And I'm like, I don't belong here. I spent 2 weeks in Psycho, and they let me go, and I went back to work. That time with... I was working for the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad. I got a job with them. And to work for the railroad, they drink. So every job I maintained had to be around drinking, and it was around drinking. And I worked with the old Irishman, and that was fun. See, now you did a tree climber, little nuts. Working for the railroad is cool, except that when you work for the railroad, see, I worked working on the high tension lines. So they would work with 13,000 volts of electricity. Now when people ask you what you did for a living, you tell them you worked with the high tension lines, and you were even cooler, and people would buy you drinks and bars because you kept the railroad running. If it wasn't for us, they would, and they loved you. Get hooked up with a bunch of old Irishmen who've been drinking. Oh, they were fun. They were fun. I worked for the railroad for a while, and then I decided to rob the railroad. And I needed money, so we broke into the railroad and we stole everything that we possibly could get in the car, and then we go to get in the car, and the car won't start. I got a serious problem because it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and we got to get to a bar. I got a carload of shit that won't start at the railroad that I worked for, so my crime partner and I start to push the car. Along comes the friendly police. We very casually said, "Do us a favor, the car won't start, will you push it?" He took one look inside and said, "Fellas, can you please stand against the car and put your hands behind your back?" That was my first real fall. That cost me the job with the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad. I copped out to a plea, to a lesser plea, and they said, well, with loss of job and so on and so forth, we'll consider time served, which was like a day or two in jail. Now I need a job, so I go back to work for Bill McLeod, which my wife hated the fact that I went with Bill McLeod, so she left me. I stayed with Bill McLeod drinking, and I decided it's more fun just sitting home drinking. And you can accumulate friends, you know, when you drink. And I was drunk for quite a while, and Bill called me, and he said, "Look, I need you to come to work." And I said, "You got to be crazy. I can't even stand." And he said to me, "Okay." He says, "Look, I'll make a deal with you." He said, "I have a job to do today, but I'll come and pick you up this afternoon and take you to Henry's." Henry's was the house that I talked about. That was a whole $80 a week. That was for 7 days, and all you could eat, drink, 24-hour-a-day open kitchen, nothing but alcoholics in there. I knew I was dying, and I said, "Okay, Bill," because I had been to Henry's before, and I saw the people, and I liked the people. He came and got me, and my mother was there and somebody else, and they said, "Well, what are you going to do with him?" And he said, "None of your business," and he just put me in the car. Henry's was the house that I talked about. That was a whole $80 a week. That was for 7 days, and all you could eat, drink, 24-hour-a-day open kitchen, nothing but alcoholics in there. I knew I was dying, and I said, "Okay, Bill," because I had been to Henry's before, and I saw the people, and I liked the people. He came and got me, and my mother was there and somebody else, and they said, "Well, what are you going to do with him?" And he said, "None of your business," and he just put me in the car, he and his son. And I laid in the back seat of the car, and I slept almost all the way up to where we were going. We got off the parkway, and Bill pulled immediately into a bar. I said, I feel a little better. And I walked into the bar, and a woman took one look at me, and Bill shook his head, and she took a water glass, filled it up with Fleischmann's whiskey, put a big glass of beer alongside of it, and he said to me, "That's going to be your last drink." I drank the drink, and I was ready to go. Screw Henry's. I felt better. And I went to Henry's, and a man, God bless him, his name was Sherwood Day. They called him Pete Day. He nurtured me. He said, "What do you want to eat?" We got there, it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and I said, "Eggs," and they made me eggs. And he put me down in a little cabin, and he stayed with me for 3 days and fed me eggnog, and I don't know what kind of pills they were, but till after the 3rd day I could finally stand up. And I stayed with them, and I went to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I met the people in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I spent about 12 days up there, and I thought it was wonderful and great and marvelous. I got back in the streets of New York. I don't think I was on the streets 20 minutes, and I was drinking, because I didn't want really what you had. It was very nice, but I didn't need it. And I went back to work with Bill McLeod, and we went into a bar, and he ordered a shot and a beer, and one of the other climbers ordered a shot and a beer, and I ordered a shot and a beer, and he looked at me and he said to me, "You can't drink, you're an alcoholic." And I said, "What the hell are you?" He says, "You got me." And we drank. I lost my car through a number of things. You know, do you remember those first great blackouts, you know, when you lose like 3 days, you know? With Bill, after coming out of Henry's, it was in September, and he and I were betting on baseball games and a golf match, and I was sitting in a bar like 40 miles from where I lived. I remember leaving the bar. The next thing I knew, my father was waking me up. I was living back home then, to go to work. Nobody has ever told me what happened to that weekend. I mean, I've lost 1 or 2 days, you know, but that weekend was in particular. So if any of you happen to have been in New York, it must have been back in 1965, and had seen me roaming around, please let me know. That one really got me. You know, it's always, because nobody told me I did anything wrong. That's what's frightening. You know, no matter when I drank, I got in trouble. I always got in trouble. I got in fights. I didn't pick up my girlfriends. I didn't do this. I didn't come home. I mean, no matter what it was, I always got in trouble. And this time I didn't. So I was really, really amazed. I'm at this period of my life, I'm divorced. I'm a full-blown alcoholic, and I'm about 21 years old. I'm unemployable. So one of the best things you do, you can't drink real cool when you're unemployable, so you got to go back to wine. And the person who introduced me to wine, I thank him to this day. His name was Neil Falciano. He took me and he said, let's buy some ombre. I said, ombre? He said, look, you want to buy a half a pint of Fleischmann's. He says, that's $1.50. He says, we can get 3 pints of ombre. And I said, whoa. And he says, that's good shit. He says, that's 12% by volume. You know, and I said, wow, but winos, you know, I'm stooping to this. He said, try it, you'll like it. Shit, I liked it, you know. I mean, it got me there, and I had a little more time to play with something. And then I met another guy. He said, hey, he said, I'll give you another good drink since you like wine. He says, what's that? He said, we call it bine. This was a black guy. And I said, bine? He says, yeah. He says, you drink half your can of beer, and you take some burgundy wine, and you pour it in with the beer. Now, that shit will get you there. I mean, that's wonderful. If you're a drinker, if you're not a drinker, hey, what can I tell you? I mean, that was it. I mean, I smoked dope once, and I wanted to drink. I said, get me to a bar, I gotta have a beer. You know, it don't do anything for me. It just, you know, wasn't my thing. But I found one good thing with drugs. See, I was the idiot who gave my money to the bartender. And the addicts are the idiots that gave their money to me. As Michael said, you can make money in it by selling it. So I figured out I can go down to Fox Street, to Hunts Point. That's the South Bronx, Fort Apache. White men don't go down here too often. You got, you know, and I would go down there and I would buy. At that time, see, marijuana was the big drug. I'm totally deprived in my alcohol. Not me personally, but there are a number of us are who've been sober as long as I have. Is that I've never used cocaine because cocaine wasn't around. That's one I got to do. Okay, I never had a Corona beer. Or beer. I can't go into the Zinfandel wines and all that shit because I drank chemically made wine. The stuff that I did, the closest this ever got to a grape was on its way down on a truck. I mean, it was never from a grape. But, yeah, it was. I guess so. Anyway, I would sell drugs. I would sell marijuana and make a few dollars. And I tried marijuana. I tried pills. I damn near died on them. And I stuck a needle in my arm once, and that was heaven. And somehow or other God told me, no, that wasn't for you. And at that time, dope was dope. I met a guy in a joint who told me, these guys now, they're shit from shooting dope. They don't know what it is. If they would shoot the dope that I shot back in 1950, they would, you know, die immediately of an overdose. And I would look at him, really? Whoa. And I've been to the places, I watched the people die with the spike in their arm. I mean, I can take you now, probably 97th Street and 3rd Avenue in Manhattan, and I can get you right into Spanish Harlem. But the South Bronx was a great place. That is Fort Apache. I mean, that was where it was a big drug center at one time. It's Ray's old neighborhood. He knows that. It's 5 times tonight from the podium. I'm expecting you speak. I get this. Where was I in my life? Was I still working? I was hustling and stealing. And I had a real cute little reputation going that I was insane, I was crazy. And I was getting arrested every now and then for fights. I was wanted in 5 towns where the police department had my picture and 3 other guys that I ran with in their cars at all times. And when we were seen in these towns, we were followed and pursued. And we tend to do crazy things when we drink. One of my better ones was, I wound up down in okay, if you're in a valley, say we had some water here in the valley and you wound up in Marina Del Rey and you got stranded there at 4 o'clock in the morning, how would you get home? You'd steal a yacht. That's what I did. I stole me a 35-foot yacht. I don't know shit about a boat, right? And I got this guy we used to call the Jew with me and some bimbo we called Twiggy, and we come out of this bar and we got in a ride and I got to get home. It's raining, so we steal this yacht and sail back up into Nurse Shell, and I'm down in the cabin with this girl having a good time. The kid panics, and he runs the boat into somebody's backyard. And now I got myself a pair of $60 shoes, and I ain't getting in this goddamn water with my new shoes on. I said, well, I'll take off my shoes. And I took off my shoes and rolled off my pants and got out of the boat and walked to these people's yard and asked them for a towel to dry my feet, and would they please call a towing service to move my boat. I said, sure, come on in and sit down. I went and sat down. I dried my feet with their towel, put my shoes and socks on, and left. And I got about 4 blocks, and police picked me up with David in the car. And I looked down at David. I said, David, what are you doing in the car? Let's get in the car. That was fun. You know, we went into Bronx County Criminal Court, and that's like going into downtown, I guess, L.A. Court. The court runs 24 hours a day on 163rd Street, right up the street from Yankee Stadium. They posted my bail. I hit the streets. I got arrested a couple months after that for a B&E. It was breaking and entering. We robbed a gas station. We were rolling the shit, the tires and stuff across the main part of town at 2 o'clock in the morning. And great crimes, you know. Then I had in my possession at that time a bunch of diamonds that we were going to fence that was stolen from a party, and I didn't steal these things. Now, they got me for this B&E. We had just robbed another place down the street about 2 hours earlier. I make bail. A day and a half later, the police are at my house with warrants. They hit the street like crazy. I come downstairs, and what's your problem? And they said, we want to search your house. We're looking for diamonds. I said, what diamonds? And I had just moved the diamonds again. Another guy did. Make a long story short, I had 15 felony counts. And they had me back in jail. And nobody was going to make my bail this time because I stood in front of his honorable judge, Christopher Murphy, who was on the take for years. And Judge Murphy looked at me, and he first of all, he took my driver's license because I had a couple of tickets pending. And then he posted my bail. He said at $25,000, and I looked at him and I said, what do I look like, Al Capone? Are you crazy? And he said, oh, we'll make it 50, Joe. My attorneys got it broke down funny, and they did make bail. And it is growth for me. You may not believe it, you people who know me, but 18 years ago tonight, I was in the state penitentiary of New York as a guest. 12 years ago tonight, I was on my last drunk on an airplane going back to New York to kill my ex-wife. And 12 years later, I'm standing here sober. So the program works. I mean, that part of it is amazing. I was thinking about it today. It was Halloween. It was a Friday. I bet you if we look back in the calendars, and I was on a good drunk for I don't know how many days, and I got this thing to go back and kill my first wife. And it was all to do with my child and a bunch of other stuff. And I didn't get sober until November 9th, 1974. So I had a run of 9 years of coming in and out of this program and seeing what it was, experimenting. I always came back. Bill McLeod, he came back into my life. He was very instrumental. Like I said, I always worked where you could drink. I was a bartender. I worked for the railroad. I did tree climbing. I was a garbage man. That's great. You drink a little Thunderbird wine at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you see how that perks you right up, boy. Then I worked for a moving company. See, all these jobs always made me hip, slick, and cool, and I was crazy. They just knew that I was crazy. You didn't fool with me. I used to carry a gun. I would shoot you. I would have no hesitation in my mind about shooting you. Right now, today, I don't have too much of a problem about doing that sometimes. I get so mad at people. Working for the moving company, I'm in another town, and I walk into a bar that I used to drink in when I climbed trees with Bill McLeod, not realizing it, and I walk to the end of the bar, and I sat down with another guy, and the bartender comes over with a bottle of Fleischmann's, and he pours me a shot and a glass of beer. And I looked at him, I said, I didn't order that. He says, no, it's from the gentleman down at the end of the bar. And I walked down at the end of the bar, it was Bill McLeod, and he was still drunk. And he was still drinking. He lost his whole tree climbing business, which was a very profitable business. He was reduced to the depths of being a security guard. And that was the better part of my life when I worked for Neptune. You know, do you have any car dwellers? You know, I lived in a car for a while. That's always a lot of fun. You know, and I did that. And I said, ooh, that wasn't too swift, you know, when you get into those things. I hustled and I stole. I got into that point of my drinking. I found 10 gallons of homemade Guinea red wine at my mother's house. I was going blind from drinking, and I'd wake up in the morning and everything would be a cloud. Just a total cloud. When I reflect back to Bill, he died drunk, I heard, in Florida. His son was became a policeman, a guy who made the 12-step call with me, and he was murdered. He was shot by a friend of mine, and Bill died. So it's the message of that story is that he brought me to this program, and he died drunk after having the program. You know, and it was always frightening, and I never wanted to look at it and say, well, it doesn't work, because the program does work. You know, and it is scary if you're sober that many years and go out and drink, and that's what a few of us in the last couple months have done, because we think we got this thing beat. And it's like I love being sober. I don't work with a lot of new people. I've been married. I buried my father. I've been divorced. I've buried a few friends. And I got my friend in the back. He shows me what the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is about all the time. I love him dearly. That's mine. I got angry August 5th, right, Billy? You know, that to me is my newcomers, is what I got. I got Bill. God gave me Bill. And I share my experience, strength, and hope with Bill a couple times a week. And it's really great because now he can't give me any shit back. You know, before he used to give me a whole bunch of stuff. Now he just looks at me in those eyes, you know, and they say, oh, you know, I love you. And that's what, you know, that's the fun of it. I tease him. I make him crazy. I have a few friends I keep giving Ray billing. That's because I love Ray. He's been instrumental. He's to me. Oh, I gotta have my fix. It doesn't go to his head. That's why I can do it. You know, I get to feeling pretty good. Somebody mentions my name from the podium. I say, oh shit, Michael mentioned me. That's pretty cool. But Ray's worked with me for 12 years, Pat. They to me are what it's all about. They've stayed the same, you know. It was kind of fun. I shared this a week ago at the Midnight Express meeting. Last Friday I made a sales call, and I decided to go talk with a couple drunks, so I knew Pat was home because she's gainfully unemployed, and Ray's gainfully unemployed. This one's getting a job or something, you know, her excuse, you know, and all of a sudden she comes bounding in. But the feeling of being able to go there and just sit and we reminisced about people and days of old and what it was like. You know, you just don't drink. It was so much fun. It's just different. It's just different than what it was like. You can... It's here. It's here. Michael's leaving me. Ray brings Danny into my life. I mean, I need this like a hole in the head. You know, I don't get involved, but this meeting has gotten me involved, and it is a weird thing of watching the two of them leave it. I mean, because I've been involved in this meeting, and I like getting involved in this meeting. I'm not just swift about getting involved at 11:30 at night meeting. I keep saying, oh my God, what am I doing with this? But I have to. If I want to stay sober, and that's all I want to do is stay sober. I grew up, because of this program, to be the person, or the type of person that I hated most. I put a suit and tie on every morning, and I know where I've been every day, and I make a lot of money, and I love it. I do. I'm crazy. I'm materialistic. I love it. But I get crazy about it too, you know. It's like it's going to be taken away. Oh God, when are you going to get it from you? I got that shit from Christy. I never had that. He used to walk around, the sky's falling, I know. But I'll have a good day on a golf course on Saturday. No, you won't, Bill, you bastard. But that's what I resented most. I'm uneducated. I think I need about 2 credits to get a high school diploma, if I'm lucky. You know, I took major courses, shop. I had 3 classes of shop. I mean, I had auto shop, I had wood shop, and I had metal shop. That was my day. I mean, they gave me an English class. I had the greatest English teacher show up, a Pesha. And one time at the nerve, they put us into a for real English class. You know, nice little Jewish boy was the teacher. I mean, I'm small. This guy was smaller than me. His name was Mr. Supp, and he was standing in front of the class. Now, children. I strangled him. I did. They threw me out of school then. But the program had given me... I don't have to do that stuff today. That's what it's kind of like about. No, I don't. I get angry, you know, but I don't have to... Guy said it Tuesday night. He said he hasn't hit anybody in 8 months. I thought that was a miracle. I haven't hit anybody in a number of years, you know, and a big fucking guy, you know. I said, oh, I don't want to get hit by you anyway. But he'd be the type of guy to look for a fight with, you know, a little shit big guy. Come on, big guy. Show you how bad I was. I'd take on 5 guys at a time. I don't have to do those things today. I'm clean and I'm sober. I'm an upstanding citizen. Watch me get Ray. I learned how to beat the system. He loves this. He's trying to get me to be honest. I can't be cash register honest. I have a garage door opener. I'm going to tell you this one quick story and then I'm going to get off because this is fun. Because Ray died when I told this story one night. I have a garage door opener and it broke. And it keeps breaking. It's a pain in the ass. So what I did was, I'm in the hardware industry. So I know how to beat the system with returning goods to stores and bringing stuff back. So I casually went to Ole's and I picked up a brand new garage door opener. I took it home. I took the parts that I needed for this garage door opener, fixed my garage, put the old parts back in. I cleaned them, put it all back in nice. I sealed the carton back up, brought it back to the store and said, my wife bought me a surprise and had a new one installed. I said, thank you, Mr. DePippo. Here's your credit for $198 and change. Ray says, I can't do that anymore. I mean, that's the American way. You know, you gotta beat the system. See, that's me. You. See, he's talking about me now. It's just that it's been. I mean, I think I'm just about really celebrating 12 years of sobriety or 12 years of really drinking. It's about what it comes to about now. The way I figure I really started drinking at age 18 to where I was in full-blown alcoholism. You know, and it's great. I think everybody should be incarcerated for a short period of time in their life. You know, you learn a lot. You really get educated. You know, you go into the joint. And when you're cool, when you go into the joint, you have a reputation. Now you got to live up to that. And that damn near got me killed because I was in a joint one night and the guy... We were playing cards in Broadwalk, and a guy comes by, and he runs his arm over my shoulder, and the guy says to me, hey, he's gay, don't let him touch you. He said, next time he does that, go upside his head. So now, you know, I said, okay. Hey, guy, walk back the other way, he runs his hands across my shoulder, I get up and I smash a chair across his head, and I start jumping and kicking and stomping on the guy, and everybody says, you're cool. Now, I'm not a big sports player, I don't like sports. I mean, I just got into racquetball, that's another thing I have done, this program's given me. But I'm an umpire at a baseball game. Now, you got to realize, I was better off playing. You got to have a pair of balls this big to be an umpire in a prison yard where there's only 3 guards and you weigh 100 pounds and everybody else is... And I'll never forget it. I called the guy safe. And the pitcher said to me, he's out. And I looked at him and I said, fuck you, Sonny. You know, big black dude. And he comes stomping up at me, and I just stood there, and I said, oh, Lord, it's over with. You know, the guard will never get here. Poochie Salerno will never make it in from center field. I'm history. And I start jumping in this guy's face, and he keeps looking down at me, and he says, Just the whole story was that he grabbed me going in on a chow line and put me up against the wall and held me up there. And he says, your name is DePippo, isn't it? And I said, yeah. He said, your cousin Mario? And I said, yeah, so I did time with Mario in Sing Sing. He said, you're a great guy. He said, but you're crazy. Next time you talk to me like that, I'm going to kill you being one of Poochie Salerno's boys or not. And I said, fine, Sonny, but don't you ever touch me again because I'll get you, you know. And he laughed. And Sonny Craig and I became good friends in and out of the joint. He was a good dope connection for friends of mine that I met. Since I've been here, and it's it'll be 12 years November 9th, I can stand here tonight clean and sober. I haven't taken any chemicals. I haven't had any need to take any chemicals. I'm getting married again. I'm going to keep doing it until I get it right. Right, dear? It's been great. I love the program. I got to stay sober for Billy, because if I get drunk, Patty's liable not to take them. And that's what the program is all about. The few friends I've made, and I knew when I got sober November 9th, 1974, I came back from New York. I wound up in a Sunset 400 motel. So some of us were told, well, you wound up in there? Him, you wound up in there. The other night about being at that motel. I wound up home. I had no job. Wife was gone. Car was gone. And I had a bottle of gin. And my father-in-law at that time 12-stepped me. And he walked up to me and he said to me, there's the bottle. Go ahead and take it. And I couldn't drink it in front of him. And I hurt so bad, my hair hurt. And I took that bottle the next morning, and I gingerly put it in the trash, and I knew that wouldn't work. I took the bottle outside and I broke it in the trash bin. I walked back. I was sick. I weighed about 90 pounds. And the only thing I knew was that this program worked. That's all I knew. I wanted to be sober. I didn't care about anything else. Nothing. I wanted sobriety. It was the first time in my life, and the first time that I was able to honestly say, if you want to call it a spiritual experience, that I could have sobriety. And I came back to the meetings. And the people loved me back. They all looked at me and they said, he's back again. They used to lay bets on how I'd come into the meetings. And I showed up at the Sunday night meeting and the Tuesday night meeting and the Thursday night meeting, and came back for the Sunday night meeting, and I was still sober, and a few of them said maybe he's going to make it. And I did. And one man, I have only asked one man to be really my sponsor. His name was Earl Marshall, and I don't even know if Earl's alive today, but he was such a beautiful man. And he told me, he said, I can't be your sponsor. He says, you're going to get me drunk. He said, I leave you from a meeting. By the time you get home, you're drunk when you call me. But Earl used to say to me, I always wanted to get everybody, fix everybody when I first, as most newcomers do, and he would say to me, Joey, you carry the disease, not the message. And I would get very insulted and say, but Earl. And I took my first year cake at the old Fulton River group. And that was cool, as most of us are in our first year. And Earl stood in the back of the room, and I took my hand, I said, Earl! And he looked at me, he said, stupid, you still carry the disease and not the message. I don't know if I've gotten any better. But I know one thing is that I love this program. I love a few of the people in it, not all of you. I don't even like most of you. But I know, the only thing I know, if you don't take a drink, you're not going to get drunk, and it works. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. This is usually time for the Secretary's report. As you people may have gathered through the meeting, the election was 6 weeks ago or something, but this is Ray and Laurie's and Pat's last night as co-secretaries and treasurer. I don't know about anybody else, but there's been a lot of magic in this room in the last year. The amount of support that's been needed, to put this thing together from the various people. This has been an up meeting, Like normally you go to a speaker's meeting, you hear the speaker, and you go home, and here, there's so much going on around it, setting it up and taking it down. I've seen a lot of friendships made. I've seen a lot of sobriety solidified. I've seen a lot of people with new sobriety, old sobriety, a lot of people getting together and doing things. It's very catching, and I got all wrapped up in it myself. Mark Twain would have understood Ray. He had Ray in mind when he had Tom Sawyer getting everybody else to do a whitewash fence. And loving it, Ray asked me to lead tonight, and I really feel honored. He made it sound very important. He made me feel very important. Ray's good at doing things like that. And I want to turn it over to the secretaries here for a minute.
Jill. Hey, Patty, come here. Wait a minute. I love you. You got a treasury report, but I know it's okay, so let's just delete it. You got anything you want to say before you go? Gee,
I'm Pat, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Pat.
It's been a good year. It's been a real good year. This is your report. You like it? Good. We made lots of money. We spent lots of money, and we're self-supporting through our own contributions, and that's what it's all about, right? Thank you.
And I am an alcoholic, and my name is Ray, and I want to thank Pat, and I want to thank Lori, because the work that she has done has just been unbelievable. But I really want to take this moment, and I'm going to take this moment, because I haven't been at this podium, but not too much in the time that I'm here. So those of you that didn't know I was a co-secretary, I am the guy, Ray. But I want to thank from the bottom of my heart, and I've never, ever, ever, ever said this since I've been sober, clean and sober for 17 years. But I want to thank the Joe DePippos, Bill, Fred. I want to thank, there are people that Paul Morrison, the ladies, Roberta, who hates to smoke and cleans the ashtrays, Kathy sitting over there. There are the people in this meeting that made this meeting. And I humbly, Michael Rosa, who did carry the chairs, but I humbly, who? Oh, my friend, God bless me if I forgot John Ellerick, Jesus Christ. But, and Ellen, and who? Cindy, and where's Cindy? No, I'm going to take this time. If I want you to tell me, and Cindy, who cleans up, you know, and who else? And the reason this microphone is going is because of Barry Taylor and Barry, who came here, and it's a thing. And then I want to thank one other entity, and I want to thank the people in this room, because a long time ago, Pat Albers told me, when I was very new in the program, that my sobriety, she said, go to the people of Alcoholics Anonymous, because that's where it is. And I never forgot that what she told me. She's got 20 years of sobriety. I never forgot that. And you are the people. You are the people. And I know that. I really know that. That you are the people of Alcoholics Anonymous. You make this thing tick. And the vibe in this room, Tony from Omaha, he left, but wherever he is, but you make this meeting tick. And I want to say, from my heart to your heart, I want to say thank you. Thank you for my sobriety. Thank you for being here. And thank you for allowing me to be of service at this meeting. Thank you.
My name's Lori. I'm an alcoholic. I really wouldn't be anyplace else but here tonight. A couple years ago, this meeting I've been going to since I was first sober. I've been sober a little over 3 years now, and this was one meeting that I came to from the very beginning. About 25 or 30 people were going to it at that time, and I loved it. It was cozy. It was a beautiful meeting, but it was time for the secretaries to change a couple of years ago, and it didn't seem that anybody at that night, at that meeting, really wanted it, and there were about 5 or 6 people that stayed for the election. And it was going begging, and out of guilt, I raised my hand. I said, "Oh, I'll do it." You know, I had 6 months, 8 months, something like that, and was co-secretary with a guy by the name of Joe, and he moved to New York. And when he did, about 6 months later, Ray was elected in. And before that time, during that 6 months, Ray spoke at the meeting once, and he saw that we were both kind of young and new, and he made a couple suggestions that, hey, why don't you get a speaker parking sign, and why don't you get a little blackboard, and we needed his help because he knew what he was doing and we didn't. He started this meeting with Joe A. in 1978. Anyway, I'm going on a little bit, but I want to thank Ray also for helping me not only in my sobriety but with this meeting as well. He's the lifeblood of this meeting. I have done what he has told me to do, and it's worked, and look at us now. It's just a beautiful meeting, and I know that Tanya and Fred are going to be wonderful new secretaries. And I also want to ditto thanking all of those people, Barbara, Ellen, Paula, and if we forgot anyone, thank you so much for being here for me, and it's been a beautiful experience. Thank you.
Gee, don't smoke outside, and don't park in the Kasselberger parking lot. And Sissy, would you read Vision for You? Close the meeting first.
Hi, my name's Sissy, and I'm an alcoholic. A Vision for You. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is the great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. After a moment of silent meditation, would you all join me in the Lord's Prayer, please? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Keep coming back, it works.